We talked about like long-term wealth building a little bit earlier, but just for someone that may be starting out, or they may be like late 20s or early 30s or something. Like, is there anything that someone should focus on first if they want to build wealth, like for the next 20 to 30 years?
Okay. No debt. Little
No
debt.
debt.
That's a killer, right? That interest every month that you see on your statement, that could be money, that could be funding your retirement or your longer term goals. Stay away from debt. Realize again, I can't stress this enough, that you're not going to have home runs. And it's boring, right? And you're going to see, remember my yo-yo?
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
going to
That's a
see your account statement do that, but you got to be able to have the mindset that you can step back and think this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And then the other thing is just start doing something, take action.
yeah, like the $20 or $50 or
Something.
whatever, something that you can
And
afford.
tactical, make sure you invest that money. Don't do like my niece
You
did.
need-
She's going to be mad at me after this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I may need to show you my portfolio because I may need some help. I struggle with that sometimes too. So
No, but all kidding aside, the great thing about these ETFs, because back in my day, right, when I was investing, starting off, this is even before I was licensed. You had mutual funds, you had stocks, bonds, and these were expensive. Now with the ETFs, lower expense ratios, the cost of these fund managers managing your assets are extremely low, right? So I guess what I'm saying is make sure that whatever you're investing is got minimal expenses, because that's just going to eat at your returns in the long run. Just like with debt, right? You're constantly paying interest. You're just spinning your wheels.
yeah,
And then realize that it's going to take time to actually build something meaningful. It's not going to happen overnight. And then the other thing is sometimes you just have to stick to the plan. The good old DCA, dollar cost averaging. That's the way to go. I mean, you can get lucky,
yeah,
right? And I get it. Sometimes you hear folks just getting lucky and saying, well, sometimes the best way to create wealth is through concentration. Yeah, sometimes, but
And that's concentration in what?
like a high position in one stock.
Okay.
Where if you were invested in Nvidia 10 years ago,
Yeah, we will.
all in, full port, as they say, full portfolio, you'd be sitting pretty. But how many people did that?
And how many people would know that? Like, we didn't know how far AI was gonna take us. Like in hindsight, it looks like a great experience. I mean, great investment, but at that time.
Yeah, of course. Monday morning quarterback.
Yeah.
So it's okay if you're starting little, but be consistent and be patient.
So why is consistency more powerful than intensity? Like you talk about DCA, long-term building, investing a little bit at a time, but why is that more important than intensity at a later age?
Well, I'd say that intensity doesn't last like consistency. So, perfect example. I'm over here struggling to get down to 10% body fat, right? And you could either start with like crazy fasting techniques such as a 72-hour fast, which is brutal, by the way, to lose those 5 pounds before your summer vacation. That's pretty intense. That's not going to last.
Yeah.
Or you could take the other route and say do intermittent fasting, where you have a window where you eat, say, 10 hours eating, 14 hours fasting. So if you go with the intermediate fasting route, you're more likely to actually have consistency because it's not as intense as a 3-day fast.
Yeah.
So hopefully that kind of paints the picture on whether it's investing, building a business, health, right? Intensity just doesn't last.
That's kind of like what you said about the performance coach. Is he saying like if you have this really, really big goal and you're trying to get to it in the short term, you'll give up. You'll get discouraged.
People burn out.
Yeah, you burn out.
And it's quickly to fall into that camp. And I always remind my early on advisors, when I pull up and they're like, oh man, I gotta make these calls and
Yeah.
I don't feel like it, and they're complaining about having these like warm leads, right? And I always remind them, like, listen, man, it's like mindset shift here. You get to make these calls, right? It's not like you have to go and knock on doors,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, but another example here, I was COVID, gained like 10, 20 pounds, and I'm sitting there complaining to my wife, oh, I gotta get up and go work out before the day starts. And
Yeah.
she gave me a little love tap of, well, listen, dummy, your legs work. You're not laid up on a hospital with
Could
cancer.
be worse. Yeah.
Right? You get to work out.
You get to.
And the reason I say that is like, sometimes we just have to count our blessings. And consistency is much easier than intensity when it comes to being able to set those two apart.
And so, I mean, just for the audience, like the way it works to become a financial advisor, you have to go through like an extended period of training.
Well, you got to pass all your designations.
Yeah, pass all your. Yeah.
You can't just go up to Merrill and say, hey, can I get my Series
7?
And
then start tomorrow,
Right. It helps to have some type of academic background geared towards finance, but it doesn't necessarily always have to be the case. But yeah, to your point, it's not something that happens overnight. You can't just wake up and say, I'm going to be a financial advisor. You got to pay your dues.
Yeah.
Just get into that position of being able to be licensed and being able to put monies in the market on behalf of other folks and get paid for it. That alone right there is an honor, or it's something that you can't take lightly, right? So it's not something you can just jump into.
And I think people like underestimate it. Like it's not easy doing that role.
It's tough because and I struggled with that early on. I guess my superpower in the beginning was the ability to never meet a stranger, if that makes sense, right? You can put me in any room, and I'm gonna make some friends, right? So talking to affluent people was not an initial challenge. The challenge was internal. This internal hesitation of putting
like
monies to work
Yeah.
and losing it.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any more pressure
Than that.
packed than, hey, Josh, listen, man, we had a bad quarter. I know you're relying on this income.
Yeah. I have $3 million invested with you.
Now it's like $1 million,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm exaggerating, but
Yeah.
so it took me a while to overcome that internal hesitation of just putting myself out there and relying on my experience and designations to actually get a book of business going.
Were there times where you felt like an imposter? When you first started being in those rooms with affluent people or high net worth people or high,
Sure.
Yeah,
Constantly, and I'll practice vulnerability right now, and sometimes I feel like an impersonator when I'm coaching advisors that are managing hundreds of millions of dollars
and even billions, probably. Maybe not hundreds of billions, but billions.
It's up there, right? But it all comes down to, listen, they're all human.
Yeah.
It's like, they put on the pants just the same way as I do in the morning, one leg at a time.